Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Grimminger.
Here.
Alderman Codwell.
Here.
Alderman Couch.
Here.
Alderman John Stupi.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Hook. Alderman Donnie Stupi.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Rozika.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Approve agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add Dina Kreitler from the Chamber of Commerce under personal appearances after Miss Linda Carter.
Second.
She was inadvertently missed on the agenda, so we're not just deciding to add her. She was missed. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Then I guess we'll go right into personal appearances. Ms. Linda Carter is requesting the Board of Aldermen's approval for a street closure to hold a block party on June the 11th on Memorial Street between Roberts and Lehigh. Linda, there you are. Would you like to?
Hello, this is my neighbor Tiffany, and we're the co-planners for the block party. So we've never done it before, but apparently our neighbors, the Udings, used to do it every year and haven't done it for many years and thought it would be a good idea. So we thought it would be fun to get to know some of our neighbors on the street behind where I live. And we
just want to close down the street, that way the kids can safely ride their bikes and play games and we'll just be closed. Everyone on the street will be attending.
I love the idea. I think it's great. I think it promotes neighborhood, and my one concern is if there's going to be alcohol at all, how will you contain that to within the closed portion?
Everyone be responsible for their own people's I'm not sure.
Maybe you need to put some signs up on the perimeter of the area saying, no alcohol beyond this point, or whatever it might be, so people know they can't just roam whatever streets with it, that it needs to be confined to that one area that's blocked off.
Thank you. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Anybody else question?
So everybody on the street's been contacted? They're all ready to roll on this, huh?
Okay. We didn't have any full agenda.
Did we talk to the police chief?
Eric, you're fine? Wonderful.
Am I invited?
Bring the liquor.
Bring a guitar.
Yeah, there you go. Have music.
Okay.
It'd be nice if you made this an annual thing again, like it used to be. I think it's a really neat idea.
It sure is.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Sure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Dina.
Good evening. Do you want me to introduce myself?
For the record.
Dina Kreitler, Executive Director for the St. Genevieve Chamber of Commerce. So I am here for a couple of different things, mainly the 4th of July. We are hosting the Freedom Celebration on July 4th, as we have always in the past. We have, for probably 3 years now, have blocked off 3rd Street from Merchant to Market in front of the courthouse for our ceremony. It kicks off at noon, So we'd like to block off the road from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for that day. We'd also like to invite the mayor to speak at that event, along with Senator Gary Romine as our keynote speaker, and Betty Arnold will be doing our Declaration of Independence, as well as invite all of the councilmen and women to attend that event as well. And then also permission to fire off the volleys that they do when they do the gun salute for July 4th in front of the courthouse. That's the one thing that we want. And then the second thing is we have the two newest additions of the turf ball fields up at the park. And so we met with our firework company, who has been our firework company for 45 years or so, and they do not feel that it's safe to hold the fireworks on Yank South as we have in the past. So we are asking permission to utilize the tennis courts. After we did some scouting of the area, we found that the tennis courts was probably our best option, other than going out onto a barge, which is an option for us as well. However, that increases our cost significantly, and we have to go from a hand-lit show to an electronic show. And so we felt, in order to keep our cost the same and to still provide a 20 to 25 minute show for the community, we would just change our location. So we scouted several areas. We went to the soccer field and we went to the fairgrounds, and a lot of things were a factor for us, so we settled with the tennis courts. And I told them that before we could make that decision, I had to come and get permission from the city to do that.
So they'll be on the tennis courts to
Yes.
shoot them off?
They will
Tell
be
them just to watch their steps so they don't trip over any cracks.
cracks. Yeah, they will actually, and it's kind of nice because if you know, Yank South is also fenced in. So when we set up, we close the gate and then they can go do lunch or whatever they do for the day. So the tennis courts is also fenced in, and so that just keeps people, out of sight, out of mind. We would ask that the city police block off that little parking area. I think they typically do that for us anyway. But we've had a lot of fallout. Gosh, every year we have fallout. So we just don't want to take the chance of lighting those new turf fields on fire.
What do you mean fallout?
Like when the shells go up, the fallout. So when they come down, and sometimes they still come down with live embers. So especially the bigger shells, which we did increase to last year, the big like 6-inch
Why don't we
shells.
just tell our fireworks people not to do that? 'Cause
Well,
they can not do that.
Well, they can, but sometimes they can't control that either. So, I mean, if they have a misfire or anything like that, and we went to a larger shell this year because we wanted to put on a bigger show for the community. And so with those 6-inch shells and those 5-inch shells, those shells go up a little higher, but their fallout is a lot wider. So we haven't had any claims or anything in the years past, but we have had some fallout fall on surrounding areas around us.
So, Dina, you're asking them to block off the Yanks parking lot, or
No,
just the tennis court parking lot?
The tennis court
Oh,
parking
okay,
lot.
sure.
The Yanks parking lot will still be utilized for parking. But we didn't want to have to move the entire location of the fireworks show and
No,
move it from the park.
yeah.
It's been there forever, and the only other option was to maybe get permission on the levee or on the river. Those were our only options. And mainly because there's so much residential there, and there's a lot of tree coverage, and so, I'm just going off the recommendation of our firework company, who has.
Well, I think that's great that you came up with an option that they're still okay. I mean, that's still pretty close to the infield, but they're comfortable that nothing's gonna come down on the infield.
No, they're actually going to shoot toward toward backward, or
Oh, okay.
I guess toward toward the
Okay,
river.
okay.
Yeah. So unless it's a windy day and it blows the opposite direction, I think we're going to be okay. But on Yank South, we're kind of in the middle
Right.
of North and Leon's, and so we just
Sure.
didn't want to take the chance.
Do you need a motion to do anything?
You just want to act on both of them, same time?
Yeah, I motion to approve both of them.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. And if you guys can join us on July 4th, we would love to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
And I believe Eric wanted to, while we were doing this, just to go a little bit off, he has a new officer, he'd like to introduce him to you.
Good evening.
Good
Hey,
evening.
guys. We have Nick Basinger with us.
Hello, guys.
Yesterday was his first day, actually, I guess technically Tuesday, we went out and qualified with firearms Tuesday, and last night was his first shift. He's on midnight right now. That will change shortly with the schedule. But we're really happy to have him. He came from Sykeston, he worked a couple of years in Sykeston, and then Most recently was working for SEMO college campus, so brings some good experience, and we're happy to have him. So if you have any questions for him, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer.
Tell him what you told me earlier.
When I met you in there.
Yeah.
Like you said, I came from Sykeston, also from SEMO. I went to SEMO because I was looking to pursue my education. They paid for my degree 100%, so you can't beat that at all. My daughter lives up here. I was looking to get up here to be around her. The benefits really appealed me to the department. You cannot beat the health insurance that was offered here. So that was a big motivator to get up here. But I'm happy to get up here and meet the community and work for St. Jim.
Great, welcome.
Welcome.
Great,
Welcome
thank
to
you.
St. Jim. So you're living in city limits?
Not yet. I'm looking to move up here though.
Okay.
Great.
Good deal, good deal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mark?
Okay, there's been a couple of park board meetings since we last met, and they're still trying to make decisions on the purchase of equipment and coming up with something that we can turn over to the county commission for their consideration and for the fundraising effort. I think it's kind of getting to a point where they got to decide for something. And the biggest problem is there's a whole range of equipment out there, and we're still trying to get our arms around what the options are, and then they can just decide. But I think in the process, there's some good ideas have come forward about maybe creating age areas, that one for younger kids and one for a little older kids, and getting age-appropriate equipment, segregating it a little bit. And I think they decided to go down to put in a small court and basketball court at Leahy, because several people who live in that area are saying we've got this park here, but there's really nothing in it. So, and they're going to use, I think, some of the funds that you've allocated for them immediately to get that implemented. So some progress is being made. It's just, it's hard to decide what your options are. I sent in the Department of Energy loan application. They sent back requesting some additional information that has been submitted. So I think we're ready to go for when they consider these applications in June. You've probably read in the paper statements about the county and the city's relationship regarding the closeout of the TIF. I think the tone of those articles does not reflect the spirit of the conversations that we are having. It's not, there's no animosity between the county commission and the city.
Martin, is that why the county commissioner is planning to do footbridges in town?
They have.
Why? It's interesting to me that they have decided in the last few weeks to take up our problems and issues. So everything in the county must be fixed. The county must be perfect for them to come in and to be concerned with our issues.
No,
That particular issue has been addressed for several years, and they knew that they would have road and bridge fund, which is dedicated for those purposes, that they can't spend before the time it times out.
I think it'd be wonderful if they
so they said, is there something we can do? And the 4th Street Bridge is one of the things that they want to do, because the report came out from the state indicating that bridge had a fairly high rating, although it does need some maintenance. And so they figure if it's got a 50-year usable life, that maybe there's something we can do to improve it. And the idea of taking out the sidewalk and widening it, and putting a pedestrian bridge was the idea.
The way that read in the paper, that was like that the county and the city had no communications on it. The county decided that we should have a footbridge.
no.
And it just looks terrible the way that's coming out in the paper. And I read it, what the hell? Don't they have enough to do on their own?
No.
And I know that that's not true. And I wanted to make sure that you had opportunity to say that that's not the case, that we are working together.
Oh, absolutely. We've been involved in that whole process. Their engineer was,
But there just wasn't one word that the city was involved
Right.
in the newspaper article, and we need to I guess, I don't know, we figure out another way to get information out than just that, because it's not working very well right now.
Right. Even from the initial idea, and I will say it was Gary's idea, I believe, of coming up with that and knowing of the funds that they had, and he came to us and said, yeah, it's a great idea. So he had his, we met with the engineer last week, and just to talk about it and see what we come up with.
Great idea.
It would be a simple way to widen that bridge, and so.
As far as the idea, Mayor, the idea was many, many, many years ago to do that. I don't know if you were aware of that.
No, that was.
But it was funding issues at that time.
Right. So, and we could get, it's possible we could get a fair amount of feet of sidewalk to go along with that whole process. Not all of it up there, but obviously, if you can see what the rain has done to the sidewalk with the mulch there and how low that sidewalk sits anyway, we could get a good portion of that done even in the same project, maybe up to the tracks or somewhere. So it's a real good project, and but our relationship with the county, and I'm sure the three of them would agree that it's good, and there's no reason it shouldn't continue to be. We'll work this thing out with the TIF, and I think we're most of the way there already, and we just got a few things to decide on and a few things to bring back to you guys that we're not quite ready to yet, and we'll go on, and I think things will be fine.
The ongoing saga of FEMA is that we received the final notice on the January 2016 damages, and we will receive $16,502.77 reimbursement for the cost to the city for that event. Interestingly, the event from May of 2015, that preceded that by over a year, is still pending, but we still send them information, and we call the guy, and, I gave it to my supervisor, and I'll have to check, and I don't know. But it will get done. We have been replacing sidewalks, as most of you know, removing trees that have caused a problem, received some concern from citizens about the value of trees in the downtown area and preserving the tree canopy. As you know, we had a committee, there's a plan. It was a concept plan more than a specific detail plan, but the idea was if you take a tree out, find a place for a replacement tree. And I'm pleased to report that of the 5 trees that we have removed and fixed the sidewalks, we have found places to replace trees, and the Bolduc property, or actually behind the JV Valley House, we put 2 trees, and the idea is to keep, if we plant the trees, to plant them on private property, but in proximity to the street, so that the streetscape doesn't change too much. And the other is the old Citizens Electric property that Lance Drury now owns, and they're going to accept 3 trees, 2 of which we planted. One of the species they want won't be available until fall, so we'll go back with that. The trees are costing about $160 a piece when to buy them, so I think it's working kind of according to the plan that was adopted by the group. You probably all heard about the legislation being introduced for the national park. And what is not generally known now, there are 2 bills, one in the House and one in the Senate. The language is not exactly the same. That causes a problem for the adoption of it. It doesn't mean that the House bill won't be adjusted and the Senate bill adjusted during the hearing process to get them to be the same. If the House votes out language that's materially different from the Senate, then it goes to a conference committee that works out the compromise language and sends it back. That would delay the process. Hopefully, and I think we understand that our legislators are desirous of getting this done more quickly than not, and they'll get this language issue worked out and keep it on track.
KMOX had a news report on that last night, I heard during their news.
I didn't see it.
That was on the radio.
Oh, okay. I met with Norman Gallup, who leads the Aries Skywatch group, and we worked out the details on use of the facility. Dave and I met up there with him, in addition to which the membership of the Aries group, they're certified ham radio operators for emergency operations. And they're also a ham operators group, and the membership is almost the same, but the ham operators have a few people who aren't certified. So it's going to kind of be 3 nights a month that they're going to use the park building. 2 of them will be the Aries and Skywatch, and 1 of them will be the ham operators. And the Aries Skywatch group will be able to use some space for storage of equipment and secure it. And they'll probably set up an office in the back room where Darren's office used to be. And then they'll make whatever improvements they need to make in order for it to serve as an effective emergency operations center, and we'll cooperate any way we can to bring that about. Finally, this came up today, so it's not on here. I called the person I was talking to at Union Pacific and see if anything's going on, and she told me that there had been conversations and there was some movement on it. She wanted to come down and observe the problem herself, so we set up a date of June the 28th in the morning, and the representatives of the Port Authority will be there, and the levee, the ferry operators, and I've notified Mississippi Lime, and they may want to be present as well. So there is progress being made on that issue. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Do you ever move forward anything on getting signs up on 61 for the care center? What's going on there?
They're in discussions with the property owners on the corner about placing a sign, on the property across the street from the care center. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Carla just stood up, so she may have some more information on that negotiation.
We actually have received a letter from the property owner with the sign application that they gave them temporary permission to put a sign on the property until, I think it was July. I remember if it was the beginning of July or the end of July. And so then after that, there was discussion on whether or not they were who was going to maintain that area, whether they were going to charge rent, whatever it was between them. So they're working those details out, but they do have an approved sign permit for temporary, at least until July.
Well, my biggest concern is, trying to slow the traffic down at 61 and Chadwell Lane, where people's going in and out, going to the care center.
I didn't know.
It's horrible trying to come up out of there, and traffic's going up through there. So we need to get MoDOT to put signs up to slow them down and caution and that. I request, and I've never heard no more about it.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about a sign
well,
from the care center.
Well, both signs, both is badly needed up there.
Well, as far as the MoDOT sign, I don't know. But as far as the care center sign, they do have an approved sign permit for that.
Yeah, we need to slow traffic down through there.
Okay. I don't know about that.
When you leave there and you look toward Jack Dempsey's creek there, it's a blind spot. You're pulling out, not knowing if you're going to get hit or...
Yeah.
It's a
Definitely a bad spot.
If it's raining, you just sit there spinning and...
Is the blind spot because of the trees?
No, it's just the elevation of the
Yeah.
way the roads come
You're sitting
together.
on Chadwell like this and trying to see up and out.
But there is trees too there. It's
On that street today, you wouldn't be allowed to.
Looking back to the
Right, no, I
left.
thought you meant going down, turning to go down towards the creek. You said there's a blind.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Depends, it don't matter which way you're going, if you're going up to 61, if you're going down the railroad tracks there, it's a blind spot there that you ease out there, you pull out there, and,
I couldn't agree more. It's
Yeah,
difficult.
that's a tough one.
It's a difficult thing to.
Oh, yeah.
but it's a combination of trees and
To
being
do
sold.
to do that right, you'd almost have to build that up.
Like a
make
pad,
landing.
almost like a landing or a
You'd have
pad
to-
there.
Yeah, closer to the elevation of Highway 61, to do it right.
Yeah, you need at least 2 car lengths with no more than 2% growth.
Right.
That's it.
And that would be tough to do.
It'd be hard.
Based on the grade of that road,
No, that ain't it.
that would be a major project. Yeah.
It's no wind there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a permanent exit there, ain't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Chadwell Lane?
Yeah, that's going to be a permanent
That'll
What
be
Terry
for the
said,
workers.
that's what they're gonna use all the time.
Yeah, for
I
the
thought it was
workers
just
and
for
that.
construction, but it's.
Unless they route them the other way.
That's to get their
Well, they'll go back
employee
out
parking in the back
front,
and the back.
And people visiting.
To 10th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think there's that.
that's a tough one.
Yep.
And if the state would just put up some,
Warning signs would help a lot.
That's, I said that would help
Or
us.
even
Flashing yellow or something.
I like flashing
You know,
yellow.
Yeah.
Talk to the nurse.
Maybe,
Have them
Frank just mentioned that the house on the corner is for sale, maybe,
Go to market instead of go to.
I don't know if the owner would entertain the idea of buying that house and changing the road, changing the
From
entrance.
other people,
Right.
We can talk to him.
Sure.
good point.
A flashing yellow, would that have to be something that would be done through MoDOT?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
You can't put a sign up on
Yeah,
MoDOT.
that's, because it's the highway, right.
That's what Alderman Stupi is
Yeah,
talking about. You gotta have
Right.
MoDOT to put the sign up, and they have these sign policies that they have to follow. and-
Right.
And lights are just a real pain to get.
I can believe it.
And also, can you continue to follow the double yellow line from St. Mary Road and 61 down to the levee?
Let's just approach the state and see what
Well,
they
we've
say
done
about
It's,
it.
we keep
numerous
asking,
times.
you just gotta keep squeaking. Maybe they'll respond.
Okay, anything else for Mr. Tillman?
Thank you, Martin.
Okay, Carla, up to you.
Yeah. Really not a whole lot going on right now. We did have 3 residents turn in volunteer applications for the Heritage Commission, 2 of which are up for approval this evening. I'm also looking at the Historic Preservation Ordinance. As we know, roofs, windows, and siding have been the main controversial points. I was looking through the notes before the Heritage Commission was formed. And as the mayor had said in the work session last month, there was discussion on date ranges. And I found that information in the notes. And so I'm looking at all of that information and checking into all of those details. I'll probably sit down with Martin and maybe the mayor, kind of get a digested thing together for you guys and then present it to you in a work session. That way it's not just a whole bunch of information, and make it a little easier to work through. And then just our occupancy inspections, we've had 11 in the last month. 1 building permit issued, 1 sign permit issued. And then there is a proposed change to the zoning ordinance regarding special use permits. It has been issued in the paper. The Planning Commission will review it for recommendation on Monday the 6th, and then it'll come before you for public hearing on the 9th. So.
Just to that, you may recall, was to not have them be officially renewed every 2 years,
Right.
but to have an annual check to make sure whatever conditions were established are still being followed, so it won't come back to you as long as the person's doing what you gave them permission to do.
Right.
Right,
Yeah. So the only time.
Cut down on some paperwork.
exactly.
The only time we would actually have a full review would be if the property owner was found to be out of compliance with the agreement that they got their special use permit.
Correct,
But
and then-
Otherwise,
From the neighbors.
Right.
otherwise, we wouldn't really.
No.
if we don't hear anything negative, it just goes
Just
on.
keeps going.
And it would just go on, and then what I would do is I would just have an annual inspection and a review with the owners,
Yeah.
and then just give a report to you guys that everything's in compliance, everything's good to go.
I like it.
And then,
It's a solution.
so,
How many do we have, would you say, throughout the city?
About that many.
yeah, there's a stack of folders like that.
Part of
So,
this process is creating a database that allows you to track them. So that
Right.
they'll be-
Yeah,
Which-
well, that's it.
All the ones we can find will be entered in a date order, so we can.
exactly, which we haven't had, and that's what I'm working on now, so.
That's gonna be a GIS later, or?
Not initially, but at some point it could be. And that's all that I have right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Paul.
Steve?
Evening, everyone. One correction on here, first page on my report, under wastewater systems. I have on here 4 modules needed sent to the factory for repairs. It's actually 5 modules. Those are the ballast boxes that run the ultraviolet racks for the disinfection.
So how you doing it now?
It's a system of 30 racks.
Oh.
These are just 5 of them. We usually do the repairs in-house on some of the lesser detailed stuff. These are into the motherboards of them. It's beyond us. We have to send them into the factory.
Is that a pretty pricey item?
It can be. Sometimes it's just a few hundred. Sometimes it's just depends on what's wrong. Water usage is up. We've extended some run times by about an hour each day. Just warmer weather, car washes, people filling swimming pools.
Yeah, what time of year?
Say watering grass, but we've had a lot of rain.
Yeah, we got plenty of rain. The FCCLA with the high school is currently in the process of painting hydrants. I don't think they've had the large turnout of students like they wanted to, but they're still working at it. So she says they're going to work in through the summer. So,
how many hydrants you got?
about 275.
Are they going all red with just the different colored caps like?
No, when we flushed last time, we took flows of each hydrant, and they're being painted accordingly.
To what, okay, I was gonna say some of them were red with the different colored cord.
Yeah, they're all going to be a solid color. They're either going to be red, green, blue, or orange. Let's see here. Trucks in the paper for bid, out for bid again. They're due back June 3rd. We'll have that prepared for the first meeting of June. One thing about that, if a dealership is to bid off using MoDOT pricing, then those bids have to be decided on before June 23rd. That's a cutoff to build the trucks. So, not saying that's how it's going to go, but if it does, that's the deadline.
Steve, it's
Yes.
a good chance to bring up from a wastewater treatment standpoint. The apartments across from my house, they had a new lawn mowing guy.
Yep.
And the other day when he got there, the first thing he did was shoot all the grass on the first row out into the street. And that is a really significant issue. That can cause significant problems and end up costing the city tens of thousands of dollars if people would simply mow the grass into the yard and not allow it to get to the street. And I mean, that's just that's some education thing that we got to tell people. And you know, I think there's very few people that say, "Well, I'm going to do it my way." I don't think it's a big issue. I think people just don't know. I don't know how we'd let them know. And because when I went over and said something to this new lawn mowing guy, there was no way I could say it without coming off as, you know,
Get off my lawn.
yeah, kind of thing. But yeah, something we need to, when we see people mowing, just remind them.
Yep.
Well, you see it everywhere though.
Yeah, I know.
County highways, state highways, they just blow it out in the road.
There's an ordinance prohibiting it.
There is.
Ours there is, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's hard to go around and, we have to hire a full-time person to go around and do the grass cutting.
Yeah. That ain't something our boys watch for, is it? I was wondering, I thought that you had said that one time, Eric.
And typically, I mean, not everybody, obviously, every situation is different, but a lot of times they will go back with a leaf blower, blow everything back into the yard. But we typically try to let them know as we see it, just to remind them that it needs to be off the street.
Yeah. 4 cars.
Thank you.
Anything else, Steve? Thank you.
Thanks.
For guys mowing
And you,
grass out on the street.
The King's report there, he still could use a few more firefighters.
And he had intended to be here tonight, but he had a doctor's appointment to precede this, so he didn't know if he would be able to get here in time, apparently.
Got it.
Okay, Sandra?
Good evening. So you have the colored chart there that shows you the numbers. In the month of April, we had a total of 1,733 guests through the Welcome Center. That's up about 5% over last year's numbers. And as Martin pointed out earlier, the big news this week was that the National Park Service legislation was introduced in Congress. You have a copy of that on your backside of the report. And in addition to Martin's outline of the, the process that the bills will go through, I thought it was interesting to point out that this was co-sponsored, and it says it on your release there. This was co-sponsored by Senators Blunt and McCaskill and Representative Jason Smith. So it already has a bipartisan aspect to it, both sides of the aisle, and so that seems like a good omen, I think, and we have a lot of really strong support locally, of course. Special events, the Welcome Center hosted the annual École de Soldats in April. And then, of course, we were served as the headquarters site for the Master Gardeners Garden Walk weekend on the weekend of May 14th and 15th. Both of these events had record attendance. In fact, the Master Gardeners shared with me that they sold out of tickets and they sold out of plants this year. So maybe we'll have more next year. But even though it was a really windy, cold day on Saturday, it was certainly challenging. You knew they were lovers of gardening and gardens if they were out on Saturday, because it was a little chilly. But they were there in droves. So other things coming up. Tomorrow evening is, of course, the Fourth Friday Art Walk. The authors of this book, this is a coffee table book that kind of has beautiful color illustrations and little essays about all of the state parks in the state of Missouri, and we're going to be featuring two of the authors of this publication. John Carroll and Susan Flotter will be at the Welcome Center tomorrow evening. So you can hear about the book, learn about the process that went into putting these essays together, and then also you can purchase a book and have it signed by the authors there. So that's at 6:15 at the Welcome Center, and that's a part of the Fourth Friday Art Walk that is sponsored by Downtown Newell. There are a number of activities going on in association with that, which you can read about in the Herald this week and online as well. So be sure to come out tomorrow evening. Hopefully we'll have good weather. And of course, Muni Band starts up tonight. Maybe we'll even be able to get out there. Now it's a pretty evening. June 3rd marks the beginning of the summer music series. And on Saturday, June 4th, we have the Down Syndrome fundraiser going on at the Knights of Columbus Hall. And on June the 11th, the French Festival. You have some stats there about the groups. April and May has just been rocking and rolling at the Welcome Center. We had 223 adults on tour and 186 in April. And in April and May, both, we've had 17 student groups and 10 adult groups. There was a big bus in downtown today, bus group of 53 people that toured a couple of the sites, had some time for shopping, and all they could say was, we wish we would have had more time here. That was our perfect cue to say, here's your information, come back and spend a day, spend the weekend, whatever. So on that note, you have some publications down the center of the table there, look a lot like this. This is an effort that we have done for the last several years to bring attention to St. Genevieve as a destination, to come for an afternoon or a weekend or whatever it may be. So what we do is those sections are flagged, but this one, for instance, is the Belleville News-Democrat, and there's a whole page here with ads about St. Genevieve. And so the ad at the top of the page is the St. Genevieve Tourism banner, and then all of the local businesses and organizations that want to participate are listed on that page. So it really gives people a sense of all the things you can see and do, the variety of things that you can see and do in St. Genevieve. And so I'd like to recognize the businesses. We had wineries, we had bed and breakfast, we had local shops, And then we also had organizations, including the St. Genevieve Downtown Renewal Group, who put their list of events that they sponsor, and also the Chamber of Commerce did an ad in 2 of the publications featuring the events and performers for the summer music series. So this is a really good way to get the word out in those target communities that we try to reach out to draw people to St. Genevieve. I'll just say that takes some time to do that and to coordinate with all the merchants and everything like that. So it's been very busy the last 6 weeks or so especially. So that's the collective advertising for St. Genevieve as a destination. We're also in the midst of continuing to work with the special committees and task forces. One is the group looking at a wildlife refuge out by the levee. Another one is on the beautification of the river landing, despite the floods that we had earlier this year and all the rain we had this week. That committee is continuing to meet, and we're also have another effort to put together a mobile responsive website, which means no matter if you're looking at it on a little bitty cell phone or a tablet or your desktop unit, you'll experience the same quality of graphics and the same information on the Visit St. Gen website. So then I also wanted to say that the Saturdays in St. Gen, you've heard me mentioning that at each one of my presentations. So officially that kicks off this weekend, but we were contacted by some of our neighbors from across the river, from Prairie to Rocher, and they came over last weekend. So if you were in downtown last weekend, you probably saw they had about 8 to 10 people, and they were here as part of the Saturdays in St. Genevieve program. They were sharing information about their rendezvous on June 4th, and then we'll be going over to their rendezvous and sharing information about the French Festival. So a little bit of fair trade across the river.
Now, those were the folks that were at the ribbon cutting, weren't they, Nina?
Yes.
Yeah, there's probably 6.
Oh, the one on Saturday, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, then we had a ribbon cutting on Friday for the new trolley service. Yes, but they got a little bit of everything when they're here on Saturday.
Why aren't we getting notified on ribbon cuttings and things like that? I get nothing until I see it in the paper.
I did.
Well,
anybody's name
Chamber.
could be in his distribution list.
Yeah.
The chamber sent us out.
About that,
Yeah, it's on the chamber website.
Oh, so I gotta go find it and make sure.
Yeah, I don't get them either, Tom.
That's my point.
There's also
Let us know.
Yeah.
there's also a text caster service.
It goes, I send it to Martin and to Pam and to the mayor, so as it's distributed to them, it should be distributed to you.
You'd think.
And you're welcome to join our newsletter online too and get it that way.
Well, I always hear about these things, later. It's just so simple to get the information out of us. We should work harder on that.
Just button, wait, I'll go ahead and click the button every time I get something.
I mean, I'd be happy to just add you to the list if you'd like me to.
No, it's not this specifically. It's kind of, this has been going on for a while.
Beth, did you have a question? No. Sorry, Hannah. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So, the trolley service is kind of a goal. Been talking about the Transportation Advisory Council meeting since it was formed, improving the transportation connecting the wine country to the city, and how do people access it? I mean, is the Welcome Center a contact point for the trolley service? Or?
They can contact us just like they could contact us for any bed and breakfast or other business. But they have a Facebook presence, they have a phone number. They haven't got rack cards out there yet. They just did their ribbon cutting and kind of a soft opening. But they're available. Like they're going to be running this weekend. It's mostly on the weekends and then for special groups during the week.
Do they have an office here in town?
No, they won't have an office.
So do they have a specific meeting location, or is this really just by group? It's not really just...
No, they actually right now the model that they're working with, and it may change because they just started up or in the process of starting it up. Right now they're picking people up at the hotel parking lot, the Audubon's parking lot across the street there. And then if people don't want to come like downtown, then and maybe they're from out in the county, then they can meet at one of the commuter lots, like probably the commuter lot there by the Dairy Queen, and go out to the wine country. So on 55. And they've talked about also if there's someone staying at the Microtel, they would, stop there and pick up. It just depends on who contacts them and how many people. But all of the bed and breakfast owners know about it, and obviously the Microtel does too, and obviously all the wineries know about it. So Martin, directly to your question.
No, that's good.
Yes, they could contact the Welcome Center. They could contact the owners through their Facebook page and their phone number. And I think we'll be hearing more about their services as they continue to, they just launched their business plan. This is two young entrepreneurs. One of them is from here in St. Genevieve originally, has family ties here, and the other, I think, might be his college roommate, but they're definitely, buddies from back in the day. And this is a new business venture for them. And they have full-time Monday through Friday jobs, too. Anything else? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, to the public comment part, anybody here to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
You're all on bated breath. Yeah.
I'm Gina Bennett, the president of A Sense of Healing and Beulah's Wish. First, I want to say I haven't been in this room since the flood at Christmas, and I want to publicly thank Chief Eric Bennett and the entire city police force. At the same time, beg them to consider hiring me in the future as a consultant for future training of local officers dealing with women in crisis. Much more needs to be done to address mentally ill and domestic violence, rape, date rape, child abuse cases on an emergency basis. The current plan for city/county is woefully inadequate in my opinion. I spoke to the county commission this morning, so this is copy pasted, so I'll try not to go over too much. But I think that with the city and county, there's a lot of friction, sort of, but it's good-natured. Everybody has an opinion. It's a little bit different. I have a lot of opinions. I'm going to email them to you rather than waste your time spewing them out now. There's no point in spewing my opinion on a lot of issues. I do think there should be a city-county cooperative to repurchase in town stations 1 and 2, the old firehouse and the old firehouse, to be converted into something for downtown community kids and adults. I think the services need to be run in cooperation in city-county. And I don't know all the answers. I spoke to the county commissioners and I sent them all emails. So I'm going to do the same to the city officials. I just feel like a lot of lower income kids whose parents work or are single parents can't get to the community center easily by bicycle or walking. So I think it would be an awesome opportunity, and both buildings are for sale. I'm not going to tell you where the money comes from. That's for future discussions, and I don't want to waste your time. Tourism, I want to say thank you to Sandra and Dina for everything they do to promote St. Genevieve. I've talked to a lot of shop owners since the flood, and a lot of people have moved, and I think that while we're getting a lot of tourists right now, a lot of the tourists aren't spending as much money as some of the people wish they were, but that's all over. I ask, please hold comments until I'm done. I just have some ideas. I'd just as soon email them to you rather than put them all out there right now. Then you can invite me back or not later to talk about that stuff. I wish we had a liaison with the federal government and city county together so that we could have a person that represents the entire city county instead of just smaller parts of it. I mean, I don't really know how to say this. I quickly put this together. I am currently the camp host exiting on State Park. I was camp host 1 for the month of May. I'll be moving to Van Mater State Park and be a camp host near Columbia for July, August, and September. I am sponsoring a design contest with the Art Guild members for a logo for Beulah's Wish Foundation. I want this logo to be used for bags, magnets, stationery that workers are going to use, and I'm not going to sell it. This is going to be going to the paper and to Don Pritchard and Dunsey Communications. I'm not going to read all of this stuff. It's just not necessary. Basically, this move is temporary for now. I love being camp host at Hahn State Park. I found out lots and lots of people love St. Genevieve. And there's a lot of people who want more tourist information out in the outlying areas. So I tried to work with Sandra. She gave me a lot of stuff that I handed out to RV people and campers to send them into town so that they'd know. I got menus from a couple of restaurants, one in the county and one in the city, to say, look, this is what you can eat if you don't feel like eating over a campfire again.
Okay.
So good stuff. I just want to say thanks, and I'll be back, but I'm going to go away for a while because a lot of times people really don't want to hear your opinion. So maybe if I go away for a while, you might be interested in what I have to say. So I'm going to work with Don and Dunsey Communications and KBDZ and the TV station. I'm going to intern with Don to learn how to maybe talk about stuff, and Toby with the paper. But we'll see. I'm not going to plan anything. I pretty much just pray and go with it and see what happens next.
Okay.
I want to thank you for your time. This is really kind of put together fast because I just got off the campsite moving from one to another. So I don't really need any public comments about this because I didn't really say anything that controversial, I don't think. When I send you the email, if you have response, email it privately. I prefer that.
Sure.
As opposed to publicly bickering.
Sure.
It's really not productive, as we found out during the flood, to publicly bicker. So Facebook is a place for happiness and spreading good cheer, not drama.
Okay.
And I learned that, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. First on the consent agenda, we have election of the president of the board, and I think we've got certainly 7 out of the 8 over here. We want to do that this evening.
Do nominations?
Yeah, nominations would be great, yes.
Is it time to nominate?
Time to nominate.
I'd like to nominate Buck Yokers to continue on as president of the board.
Oh, second.
Anybody else?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Sure wasn't gonna do it, Buck. Okay.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah, I had to step in and help the mayor out on Saturday at
There you go.
ribbon cutting. I think that was it all year.
You had a couple meetings.
I appreciate that though, Mayor.
Well, I appreciate you being there.
Yeah.
So if that's all, we
That moved to close nomination, did you?
will move to
I'll
close.
I'll move to close nominations.
All in second? Well, then, I guess selected by acclamation, is that right? Or,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Buck.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we got minutes from the May 12th meeting.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And here are meeting, minutes from the meeting of the closed session of May the 12th.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And approval of the treasurer's report for April.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Resolution 2016-20, a resolution appointing Donna J. Roush to the St. Genevieve Heritage Commission.
These two agreed to serve, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Being drafted.
No, they're just gonna have to.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? As you know, I believe most everybody knows Donna is the site administrator for the Felix Valley House for the state. The resolution 2016-21, a resolution appointing Martha Patterson to the St. Genevieve Heritage Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ms. Patterson used to be the mayor in Kimsley.
Oh, really?
That's right, isn't it?
That's correct.
So she's a local resident now?
She's moved to St. Genevieve, where there's real history.
Resolution 2016-22, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the St. Genevieve County, Missouri Amateur Radio Emergency Service, Skywatch, to use the city-owned facility at 230 Matthews Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Outstanding.
Okay. Old business, bill number 4104, second reading.
An ordinance approving an agreement with the St. Genevieve Industrial Development Corporation and the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri.
This is the loan agreement for the light replacement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And roll call.
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Couch?
Yes.
Alderwoman Codwell?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4104 now becomes ordinance 4040.
Thank you. New business, bill number 4105, first reading.
An ordinance approving the purchase of a 2004 and 2005 Freightliner single axle dump truck from Truck Centers Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $46,500 for the street department and amending the street department transportation trust fund number 21.
Motion to approve.
Second.
This slightly exceeds the budgeted amount we had for dump truck purchases, but the prices were good and the condition is good of both of these. And Dave asked for permission to kind of go over the sale of our existing equipment will bring in some revenue to offset that. And we won't be spending as much money for chemicals as we anticipated because we didn't have much snow. And then we'll come back to you with a budget amendment that will reconcile all of that. The total budget will stay below what was budgeted. We just have to move some numbers around.
So these are gonna replace the two GMCs, I guess?
The ones that don't have bids in them anymore.
And these are coming kind of pre-fit for what we do as far as snow removal blades and all that.
They were in municipal service kind of before they got to us.
That's what took so long, he was waiting for the right ones to.
Make sure we're snowing.
This would be similar to the yellow one they have now, and that, my understanding is that so far that's been a really good unit.
I understand that Dave is, very much in favor of this, and
he proposed it.
He put it together, so. There was a motion, and a second, or?
Yes, there is. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We need a second reading.
Wouldn't hurt.
Make a motion for a second reading.
Second.
All in favor of second reading of bill number 4105?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, bill number 4105.
An ordinance approving the purchase of a 2004 and 2005 Freightliner single axle dump truck from Truck Centers Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $46,500 for the street department and amending the street department transportation trust fund number 21.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Codwell?
Yes.
Alderman Couch?
Yes.
Alderman John Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Jokers?
Yes.
Alderman Donnie Stupi?
Yes.
Alderman Prince?
Yes.
Alderman Rozika?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4105 now becomes ordinance 4041.
Thank you. Okay, other business.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to, we kind of missed the St. Genevieve Fire Department monthly operations report.
Sure.
And I know that it's really difficult for Chief Steiger to get here in person, but these are excellent, detailed reports. I mean, we discussed this, how many assistance calls they had. They had 57 in May, up so far, up 1 from last year. Their staffing requirements, they still need 3 more firefighters. Detailed training report, technical rescue facilities. It's a well-written report. So it's important that I think we should be thankful that we got somebody that's given us a real nice, well-written, well, whatever, report.
Well, maybe we should use it as a model and encourage other department
I
heads.
think that would be a very good idea.
Okay, thank you. Also, no, I'll wait till the end to mention that. So let's go on to other business. First on the list, Mrs. Donna Marler is appealing the decision of the St. Genevieve Heritage Commission for placement of vinyl windows on the property located at 152 Ziegler Street. Carla.
Yes. Okay, so to enter into evidence, section 410.400 of the St. Genevieve Municipal Code, and then included in your packet is the letter of appeal that Ms. Marler has submitted to the city, the letter of the stop work order that was sent to her, as well as the staff report from the Heritage Commission meeting. The record of vote from the Heritage Commission was 3-0 in denial of the replacement of the windows.
Was that because they're vinyl or because the pattern did not match what was there originally?
It seemed more, well, it was both. It was partially because they were vinyl, and the other was because the pattern was not.
The divisions in the window
That's
are
correct.
different than
Yes.
the original windows. And
Yes.
those are the original windows that are currently in the house.
The 3 over 1 are the original windows in the house.
Can that be easily changed? What is it, 3 over 3 now? The new ones?
No, the new ones are a full grid. They're a 6 over 6.
6 over 6? I mean, can you just change out the grid?
Some of those windows you could
Some of them
snap
you
that
can.
grid out.
I'm not for sure on
I don't
that.
know.
Do you know if you can?
I think these are between the
Are they between
insulated
the
glass.
between the glass?
So you'd have to, the minimum you'd have to do would be replace the glass, which probably gonna get.
But it's not changing the size or the...
Yeah.
What about the house across the street? Let's talk about, what's the name of that?
That is the, I would have to go get it.
Okay. The
I'm not
historic
sure.
home.
Yes, it
pretty
is a
much
landmark.
Directly across the street
Yes,
from an
and it
historic
is a
home.
landmark.
That's just fallen in on itself. And my opinion would be different if this was a well-maintained historic home. But because this is the way it is, pretty rough looking, I have absolutely no problem with vinyl windows going into this house, which was really a dilapidated piece of, So Mrs. Marler is making an investment into this home to bring it back up into standards and provide a rental property, I assume, for our community. If the historic home across the street was refurbished and shiny and all that, I would certainly have a difference of opinion. But I'm sorry, this old house has fallen in on itself. So we prevent someone from making improvements to protect what is already
In disrepair?
In disrepair.
yeah. So my opinion,
Well,
that's my opinion. I think it's a very simple, it would be different if it was in different circumstances.
And I
These
agree.
circumstances.
Did I miss it in the report? Does it say somewhere that they're saying no because there's a historic house across the street? I mean, is this one of the reasons they gave?
No.
I don't see that anywhere.
No, but the only reason it would need to be different was because of the proximity to the historic home, is that correct?
Unless this home is considered.
This one is considered
It's a
historic.
contributing home.
It's a contributing
Yeah.
structure.
So,
But
I,
that doesn't mean it has historical
But
significance.
the big thing here is they're not changing
The structure.
the structure, the size of the windows are not changing. I agree with Tom. We hear all the time about demolition by neglect, simply because these houses rot into the ground. This will prevent the house from rotting into the ground, and someday, if somebody wanted to put wooden sashes back in it, they can do that.
I don't disagree, and I appreciate the fact that Ms. Smiler is trying to improve this home and make it look better. And as much as the Heritage Commission may not think so, I actually appreciate these guidelines, and whenever anything comes like this before the board, I'm sick to my stomach, because I'm very conflicted.
Toughest thing we do.
Yeah, it is.
I agree with you.
I didn't want to show up tonight, because I didn't want to deal with it, you know?
Well,
So what I see in here, though, is that, and let me know if this is not correct thinking here, it says maintain the original number of divided lights in a window or door. Is that where we get into the 3/1 or
Yes.
the 6/6?
Yes.
Okay. So if she were to install vinyl windows that were the 3/1 to match what was there, what would be the staff recommendation for that?
The staff recommendation for me would have to be denial, because I am only allowed to approve what is currently in the property or original. And that's all I am allowed to approve. But that's why the Heritage Commission has a little more leeway than I have, and then, of course, the board has more leeway.
Listen, I'm not going to apologize for disagreeing with the Heritage Commission. They do good work, and I appreciate them completely, right? May have a very different opinion than they have formed their opinion. To me, once that's all painted, that's going to be a pretty little house. Nobody's going to know, unless they go up there and scratch something, that that's vinyl or if it's wood. And the number of I don't know what you call that. Lights in the window, oh my goodness. Is that a real, and I mean, I'm just off
But
balance.
I've seen the commission, I believe it was when it was still the Landmarks Commission, deny vinyl windows to be replaced on the house simply because it had a different number of
Yeah, to me that's just a little ridiculous. I'm sorry. I can't express my passion to protect our historic homes. Because and I can't express my passion to allow property owners their rights. And like I said, if this was a different scenario with a home that wasn't just falling down, the historic home, I would be right behind the Heritage Commission. But in this particular circumstance, I just see this as not mattering because the other home is just falling down. I'd love to say no because the other home just had a $500,000 renovation. But I think we should just get on with it and vote on it and move forward.
Let me, on windows, because I think windows is one of the things that, obviously out of the three things that we talk about, and I guess the roof thing is one that we've talked about, that you can always go back and pretty easily change a roof. Windows, and maybe this is one of the directions we change the guidelines or look at the guidelines when it comes to windows. Windows could really go either way. If you're truly putting in a replacement window, which most people do, as far as if they're putting a vinyl window in, all they're doing is removing the existing old wood sash that are there and putting this frame within the existing frame that's there. That's if they would keep the old sash, or there's even obviously people that make sash that could go back into those frames if somebody wanted to restore the house back to authenticity to what it was. And that's, I think, the area where we need to look at the guidelines there. But if you tear that window, that old wood window out completely, then you've got a big issue because you're not going to very easily be able to go back with something in the future because you'd have to completely rebuild everything. But if that frame's there, you are downsizing the size of it a little bit. You're downsizing the opening and the daylight opening and the glass area, but you're really not changing. It is something that could fairly easily be fixed if somebody wanted to go back and do it. So those are things maybe I think we look at in the guidelines to do it. But if somebody wants to tear them out and put new windows in, is certainly...
And could I suggest that when we have our work session, we kind of go over some of that stuff and hopefully get a...
Sure.
Yeah.
And the other side of it, though, Tom, I know the people, and I know they're slow at it, and I've got a house that I've been even slower at it, but it may not be in quite as bad a shape, but I know they're slowly working at trying to restore the house across the street and bring it back to something that's really
And they did,
nice.
they did stabilize it. I mean, they haven't improved it, but they did take the structural failures and remedied those, and then
when
they
I
stopped.
drive down Ziegler Street from Main Street, there are a couple houses there that have a lot of, let's just say, yard ornaments. That's what it looks like, you know. And then there's the historic home that adds to that look. If you refurbish the little house in the corner, that's going to start changing that. I hope that little neighborhood right there. I just hate that my opinion varies from the Heritage Commission, because I really do respect what they do and the way and why they do it, and I understand that is their job, and they're doing it.
And they are
doing
doing
a good job. I just have a difference of opinion.
What's the age of that structure? I mean, as far as when it was?
1920.
20s.
1920.
In the 20s.
You making a motion or?
What do we need?
What do we need here?
I have one more thing I'd like to say. Mrs. Marlar, I know you have many properties in town. If you could please just communicate better with Carla about what paperwork you need when you go to work on these properties. That way we're not in a position like this again, hopefully, or we are less.
Hopefully.
So you have your proper paperwork and permits and whatever you need to proceed and not have to deal with a stop work order.
Yes. And let me just say that after this happened, Ms. Marlar came in and her daughter Laura came in, and both were very helpful with getting the proper paperwork they needed to take care of to get the process going. And since then, we've even worked together to get a list of the properties that she owns that would require approval through the Heritage Commission.
So do we need a motion, or?
Yes.
I would move that we allow Mrs. Marlar to install the windows that she has.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Ms. Small. Next on the list, the St. Genevieve Downtown Renewal is requesting street closures for French Heritage Festival to be held Saturday, June the 11th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And St. Genevieve Catholic Church, 49 DeBerg Place, is requesting a temporary liquor license for the annual parish picnic for September 10th and 11th, 2016.
Motion to approve?
No, just in case you have any questions, I co-chair the French Festival with Kathy Brusling, and I co-chair the French Festival with Sandra Cabot. And so if you have any questions, I'm just standing here.
I'm sorry, I didn't even look up.
That's okay.
We're just rolling along here.
That's fine. Good. Yeah, I keep hearing you approving. That's wonderful. So, no, and just in case you had a question. So, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
So do we have a motion?
It is.
Okay. Then,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Came from Father Dennis.
I will, I did want to add, someone should add, when Martin was talking about the trees,
We didn't vote, did we?
we did vote, didn't we?
Well, we had a motion second, I don't think you said it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Of that, opposed, okay. The Community Foundation Board is still considering the grant request from the city to match the $10,000 we decided we would put up for the tree replacement. They are still considering that, and I'm sure we'll have an answer by the next meeting, so that's still out there.
What kind of trees did they put up down there?
So I'm sorry, Dick, we're looking to get some money to replace trees?
Yeah, we put in a grant to the Community Foundation for tree replacement, and it was, it originally went to the CDF fund, the one that meets in January, and it was referred to the Community Foundation Board for, but I think it's
Trees
pretty good.
Trees in our sidewalks boil down to, they're just simply very expensive. They're expensive to take out. The root systems can cause underground utilities damage. We tear out multiple pieces of sidewalk instead of one piece of sidewalk. And as long as everybody wants to have trees in the sidewalk, everybody's got to quit griping about the cost of trees in the sidewalk. And it's an expense, it's just an expense. I like shade, but trees in the ground, in the sidewalk, are just a very expensive
And honestly, in many of the places we have trees, you wouldn't be allowed to design that because you don't have the required ADA width on the sidewalk when you put the tree in it. So I'm reluctant to put a tree back and then only have a 3-foot wide walkway.
I mean, goodness gracious, we took the tree out because it's tearing sidewalks. We'll take it out, put another tree in. That doesn't make a bit of sense.
So anyway, it's working. We're getting cooperation from the property owners. We're going to continue down that path.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourned. Bring darts.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
All right, short work session. The Paul Arnold from the Special Road District called me and asked if we could have a joint meeting. I thought he was going to do it this week. He thought he was going to do it next week, so it'll be next week. In the meantime,
The next meeting.
no, 2 weeks from now, next meeting.
Next meeting, okay.
In the meantime, Bob Mueller approached me about the possibility of extending the no parking zone in front of what is now Lance Drury's shop, where it's currently, there is a no parking spot, but people who park right behind it, make it difficult for he and the post office to get out of their driveway. So he's asking for a 24-foot extension of that no parking zone to the east of where it currently is to address that problem. And he's provided a picture of a car that's parked in the area where he'd like to have a no parking zone to kind of illustrate the problem. And Bob's here to answer any questions you might have.
What does that eliminate? One parking space?
24 feet, that's more than
Bigger per parking spaces. I think it's, the people who park there, the ones that want to use those mailboxes, they have a real district.
Yeah, exactly. When you go to mail a letter, it can be a challenge getting.
Well, he doesn't oppose it.
So.
And you can't get citizens unless you pull up and then back up and then.
Right.
Dump it in there.
So what do we need to do?
Nothing, just if you're in favor of this, I'll prepare an ordinance for you and we'll have it on the agenda of our next meeting.
It ain't gonna matter that much for personnel down there.
Well, I certainly see the need.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable request.
But at the same time, we're giving up 2 parking spaces downtown. Now, I'm all in favor of this.
Yeah.
But I think we better be prepared to answer questions, because when the tin roof came in, initially, they came to this room and asked for like a 5-minute parking space, and then one for their help or something.
Right.
And I told them that, I spoke up and I said, listen, we can't give you a space. If we gave you a space, we'd have to give every business owner a space. There would be no spaces for customers. I recognize this makes good sense, but we have to be prepared to answer questions when people ask us, why would you do that? And I would say very clearly, it's a safety issue, and we should do it.
We just keep a picture of that picture and go, this is why.
I think
get in and out.
Yeah.
And I think we should do it. Please.
We will prepare the ordinance.
Okay. End of work session?
End of work session.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you.
Yes.